Hey there everybody, welcome back to my channel, Boomy Reactions. For those of you who are new, my name is Boomy and thank you for watching my lovelies. Now today guys, we have another animal special video. This one's been requested by one of my wonderful patrons. This is from Arctic Tron, so thank you my lovely. Now I've actually got this, I'm reading it off my phone. So Arctic Tron, you say, hey Boomy. So I just watched the video from Lawrence from Lost in the Pond about coyotes. Yes, a great one. As Brits, or I imagine everyone from outside of America maybe, we take a bit of special interest in animals that we don't have here in the UK, coyotes definitely being one of them. So yeah, they're a bit of a source of fascination for us. I still think they're adorable. I can't be swayed. I'm sure they're quite a bit of a nuisance at times. I just think they're cute. I know. And as entertaining as it was, I have always felt that it was a bit light on information about coyotes for my taste. Okay, yes. So it is for that reason that I'm recommending a video about coyotes from Casual Geographic. Oh, yes, I recognize the name. I've seen, this will be the third video I've seen from Casual Geographic now. I love how he presents all of this information about animals, and I love animals. So I love these videos. So this video is called Why America's Most Hated Animal is Underrated. Oh, bit like the honey badger. Oh gosh, what's he gonna tell us? Casual Geographic is the reason why I no longer think that otters are cute. If you don't believe me, go and watch that last video. He mentions otters in the honey badgers, and you'll see why. You'll see. Just go see. So Arctic Tron, you also say, now I believe you've already been introduced to Casual from someone else regarding his videos on gibbons. Yes, another great one. But that was a few months ago, so I guess this is a welcome back video. Oh yes, yeah. Speaking of this video, this was actually the video where he entered what I guess you would call his modern era, where his production quality went up and he stopped doing compilation style videos. I always love your interesting facts about these YouTubers, Arctic Tron. Thank you, my lovely. Right, okay, guys, so let's get stuck into the video, shall we? So, America's most hated animal and why it's underrated. Is it really hated that much? Still a source of fascination with raccoons as well. You know, we don't have them, so we don't get annoyed by them. But, you know, for us, they look adorable. They just do. And guys, if you're enjoying these reactions, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Thank you so much, my lovelies. If you're interested, I have a Buy Me a Coffee account. That link is over here. And if you would like to help support my channel any further, I have a Patreon account. And if you want to check that out at all, that link is in the description below. Woo!
What's the most underrated animal? See, now that's almost a trick question because of the very definition of underrated. Because if everyone agrees that this one thing is underrated, then, well, it's really not that underrated. Same thing if I ask you what animal's overhated. Because again, if a majority of people can agree that one specific animal gets too much hate, then guess who suddenly isn't that overhated? And that applies to animals I can guarantee you've already thought of. Like
and then they get all the love.
I bet at least one person thought sharks.
Yeah.
Well, actually, sharks have gotten pretty good PR over the years. Mostly because we realized we murk hundreds of millions of them a year. That and dolphins started getting the smoke that was previously reserved for sharks. And believe it or not, gorillas used to get that same type of smoke too. Thanks to King Kong, there was a time where people saw our vegan bodybuilding cousins as violent, malicious hellspawns. Basically, what we know chimpanzees are, we thought gorillas were.
Isn't it nuts? Yes, so chimpanzees, I think it depends so specifically on like circumstances, doesn't it? And you know, aggression can change from female to male to mating season to casual, out of, you know what I mean? There's lots of different factors that come into the aggression of different animals. But yeah, it's kind of sad to think that, you know, gorillas are portrayed as being really hot-headed and having a terrible temper. I think they're just so big, aren't they? Actually, I mean, I'm sure if you caught, you know, the alpha during mating season or whatnot, I'm sure they would throw quite the tantrum and be very, very dangerous. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not dangerous. Very dangerous. But yeah, over the years, I've kind of learned that chimpanzees are actually probably a lot more aggressive, aren't they? Like you learn details about them, like they can be quite cannibalistic and just a bit nasty, really. But it's always very interesting, very surprising facts about animals.
It took a kid falling into a gorilla pen and, you know, not dying for public perception to change. I'm talking about Binti, by the way. Harambe, that's another story. But speaking of PR, maybe nobody's has gotten more of a 180 than the wolf. An animal that was once so feared and loathed that people did everything in their power to keep wolves from breathing US oxygen.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we realized, one, we kind of need wolves, and two, wolves are actually terrified of people, for us to change how we felt about them.
Now they're being
So really,
reintroduced
none of these
into the
animals
wild,
can be
aren't
called
they?
the most overhated. For an animal to be truly overhated, consequentially, most of you would have to dislike it enough to disagree that it gets too much hate in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is why this isn't a shark, gorilla, or even a wolf video. But before I tell you what it is, we recently just passed the 2-year anniversary of this channel that again pretty much started by accident. So in the spirit of change and new beginnings and all that, there's so much f***ing room now. Yeah, this is life now. Anyway, for an animal to be truly overhated, it's not enough for just people to have it out for them. And it's the fact that almost anything with a pulse is born instinctively hating coyotes that puts them here. If there's one thing you learn in this video, it's that no other animal gets treated more like nature's stepchild than the coyote. A red-haired middle child at that. And while the human wolf arc has actually gone in a positive direction, people seem to hate their cousins as much, if not more, than they did 100 years ago.
Red-haired middle child. Oh, there's layers to that. I think a common, I think a lot of these animals have in common, maybe not so much the gorillas, scavenger animals tend to get a bad rap, don't they? So it's the opportunistic scavengers that they're only really dangerous in times of starvation and hunger. So when they're starving, or I don't know, they pick at the weak, or if you've ever, you know, oh gosh, you heard awful stories about like a fox trying to abduct a baby. I don't even know where there was that. Was that in the UK? Years and years and years ago. You hear about these awful stories, but when you stop to think about it, they're few and far between. They don't happen a lot. And it is normally, you can normally put it down to these animals being desperate, starving, especially shark attacks are another one. They normally don't attack unless they're desperate, so they don't really happen that often at all.
First, let's talk about what coyotes are. The key difference between a coyote and a wolf is that coyotes wear the face of someone who's seen everything life has to offer and was impressed by none of it. I've never seen an animal look so done with life. Well, except for this guy. Now, I once...
What is... I was going to say, is that resting bitch face? Is that what it is? It is the look of an animal that is just not impressed. It's seen things, been here before, it's not impressed by any of it.
Said that wolves are everything coyotes are, but better. That wasn't exactly true. Because while wolves usually outcompete coyotes and straight up bully them when they're in the same area code, coyotes make up ground by being way more adaptable. That's actually what helped turn the wolves' image around. Because the absence of wolves meant coyotes were able to run around unchecked and unhinged. And thanks to a diet that consists of literally anything that isn't nailed down, no, seriously, if it fits down a coyote's throat, they're gonna eat it. Coyotes were able to succeed almost as well in the city as they did in the prairie. You can find a coyote in 49 states, and if there was a Hawaiian border, they'd probably go 50 for 50. Being able to make a meal plan out of almost anything, while also being clever enough to avoid humans, is why coyotes, unlike wolves, were able to succeed in urban areas the way most predators couldn't.
So kind of the difference is that wolves just got, I don't know, like a bit too big for their boots, started encroaching in territory where people were and they probably shouldn't. Is that the difference? Coyotes, by comparison, are much better able to adapt. Okay, we see that so much, don't we? We see species absolutely thrive where they've had a predator and their numbers decrease. So then they have no predator, but their diet will be so varied and would pretty much be absolutely anything. So they end up just thriving. I remember hearing something similar about the cane toad that ran amok and bred and spread everywhere all over Australia. It was at the early 90s. Yes, that time. And they ate absolutely anything and everything. So they thrived. They weren't contained. There was nothing stopping them from just their reproduction from going boom.
Basically travel-sized wolves that identify as raccoons. Any given moment you stand on American soil, you're standing closer to a coyote than you might want to admit. For example, there's about 30,000 Wiley seasoned across New York, and chances are you haven't seen one of them. It's almost like they all have NordVPN. Because NordVPN creates an encrypted tunnel for your data and protects your identity by hiding your IP address. You want to know what isn't risk-free? Well, if you're a coyote, breathing. Threat protection would actually be a pretty huge buff to them because, long story short, anything that's in constant contact with a coyote is either taught or born hating them. You're probably familiar with the wolf-raven relationship. Here's how coyotes fit into that. So wolves have no love and no patience for coyotes, mostly because the latter will try to steal food from them right under their nose, which often gets the coyote put on a shirt on sight. Now, ravens and coyotes often compete for the wolves' leftovers. But because ravens are also one of the smartest things in the world with wings, they'll often snitch on thieving coyotes over to their wolf backup. And because why stop there, oftentimes while the coyote is actively running for its life, the raven will fly right above it to show the wolves which direction to run in.
Oh, you nasty grass, you snitch. Oh my, they're too clever, aren't they? Still, nobody likes the grass. What do they say? Snitches get stitches. Or end up in ditches, whichever you prefer.
It's really no different than a helicopter during a high-speed chase, and the result is often one less coyote to count on the census. And somehow having an airborne Black Air Force put a real-life hit on you isn't where it ends for them. Believe it or not, the very symbol of our country is really just an overgrown glorified seagull with the vocal cords of one. And as scavengers, that puts the alopecia pigeon often in direct competition with the wolf's understudy. Not only will bald eagles attempt to bully coyotes away from food, if you're lucky, you'll even see them snatch the food right out of the coyote's mouth and dare them to do something about it. Something that the coyote's a pair of wings and a couple billion years of evolution away from doing. It doesn't stop there. Bears will often unsubscribe coyotes from life before they get the chance to finesse them for food. Cougars do the exact same, except unlike bears, they'll often go out of their way to eat the coyote. Once in a while, a coyote will make the mistake of stopping for a drink, only to get game overed by a gator. Even
oh my gosh, the list grows and grows. The coyote hate has got to stop. It's not even people, it's the animal kingdom. Why does everyone hate them so much? Are they a bit of an easy target? Is it because they're just like, they're a really, really good scavenger? They're great at it. Okay, it seems to be. No, it's not just other scavengers that don't like them, because you've got the bald eagle that doesn't seem to like them. Alligators? Oh, can they catch a break?
And raccoons find a way to get their licks in, as mobs of raccoons have been known to attack and jump single lone coyotes. That's why it's never a good idea to beef with something born with its own ski mask. Donkeys come into the world with a raging hate boner for anything that even looks coyote in the face. Which is why not only will donkeys unregister coyotes from life, they'll also thrash and ragdoll the coyote's soul divorced corpse like a toy. This dog discrimination even applies to the big bird of South America. Like the donkey, the rhea has an internal prejudice for the entire canine family, and that extends to coyotes. Coyotes aren't usually found in South America, meaning coyotes manage to succeed in being hated by an animal that hasn't even met them yet. And as for humans, well, like I said, Americans hate coyotes more than the metric system. You don't have to see a coyote, you don't even have to live near one. All you have to be is a kid with cable on a Saturday morning to watch a coyote get curb stomped by life. Wiley really spent 70 years getting nailed on by a bird that really should have been light work in the first place. Like, if it wasn't for one animal, coyotes would really be out here with no friends. Coyotes and badgers are nature's unlikely duo. Unlikely since badgers should probably hate coyotes just as much as everyone else, since coyotes have a history of sometimes attacking and eating badgers. With badgers being a possible threat to coyote pups, the feelings should be mutual. But they manage to put all that aside when they hunt together. Since badgers can dig faster than any mammal, including a grown man with a shovel, they're able to flush out animals like ground squirrels and prairie dogs out of their burrows. Trying to hightail it on land puts them on schedule to get run down by the wily coyote. The coyote-badger team-up is so OP that they're actually 3 times more successful when they go out on hunts together.
Oh my gosh! Oh, well, maybe they're not best friends, but it's nice to hear that they have one animal that doesn't hate their guts. I think your badgers look different to our badgers. Isn't that funny? Oh.
Everyone wins, except the squirrels. But like wolves and ravens, this isn't just a business relationship. Scientists have seen coyotes and badgers playing with each other and resting together even when food wasn't involved. Coyotes have been seen laying with their badger friends and licking them while the badgers would tolerate it. And if you know about badgers, tolerance is their love language. And it makes sense, since coyotes and badgers apparently go way back. Way back as in researchers found a Mexican jar believed to be from the 1300s that showed a drawing of the 2 animals together. It's one of the truly wholesome friendships in nature, just like Kevin and his rock. Also, I've shown this clip like 1,000 times, but I never mentioned that that's actually the coyote's play bow. It's usually something you'll only see them do with other coyotes, but occasionally you'll see them do it with other animals. Either way, that's what it looks like when an extrovert adopts an introvert. That's kind of where the positivity ends. Because like I said, coyotes are the true plumbers of nature.
Okay, this is where or everything positive ends from here. I think that's a really, really adorable relationship. Oh, they are besties. Oh, it's so cute. Okay.
They have to take every for a living. And the coyote carnage peeks out at us. Look, you could probably tell that I have a soft spot for coyotes, but I'm also self-aware enough to realize that if I had a cat or a small dog in coyote country, my feelings would probably be different.
Yeah.
Actually, forget pets. If I had a sleep schedule worth defending and I lived near this, yeah, it would be on site the moment I'd have to hear that at 3 a.m. Other than being menaces to pets, a lot of people hate coyotes because they see them as an EDP level threat to children. Not only that, but if you're a farmer and don't have coyote insurance, I have to assume you also sleep with your life savings under your mattress like Mr. Krabs. Also, it probably doesn't help that they're the reason why Spider-Man doesn't have to be involved for Uncle Ben to still catch the wrong end of a fade. But you wanna know where a lot of the coyote hate came from? Seriously, you'll never guess it. Not with 1,000 tries. Mark Twain. I don't know what kind of childhood he had, but something clearly happened to make him hate coyotes as if one took his mother. Mark Twain in 1872 described coyotes as sorry-looking skeletons with gray wolf skin stretched over it, with a tail that forever sags with a despairing expression of misery. Man's really used his understanding of the English language to dunk on a lower mammal. He even called coyotes so disgusting that even fleas would dub them. He called it a lowly coward with teeth so jacked up that the rest of its face is constantly apologizing for it.
Oh my, wow. Why does Mr. Twain hate coyotes so much? I think they're quite regal looking, and maybe it's just maybe it's in a good light. I think they look quite majestic creatures, like foxes. Very similar to foxes, actually. Like somewhere between a fox and a wolf. They can look quite regal, but yeah, maybe it's a good light with a very well-fed, well-groomed coyote. Maybe they don't always look like that. I know sometimes foxes don't. Foxes can look a little bit rough, can't they?
One of the biggest mysteries in nature is what one coyote had to do to make Mark Twain invest so much time and malice slandering them. Like, I've never seen a human being so personally offended by the existence of an animal. And if Twain was around today, he'd probably post an exposed video about them. And that would be after canceling them on Twitter. But his coyote hit piece got so much clout that it actually played a big part in the reason a lot of people wanted them evicted. From the prairie, from America, from life itself, we basically declared war on an actual prairie dog. Except there was just one issue with this. Coyotes are canine cockroaches. They refuse to be killed. Seriously, it's impossible, and we've tried. Like, Australia gets a lot of grief for losing a war with a great value ostrich, but we've been getting got by a dollar store dingo for the longest. But somehow getting their lunch money taken by wolves constantly for generations taught the coyotes how to cope. In areas where coyotes are heavily hunted, they'll just have more coyotes. Yeah. Usually coyotes come out by the half dozen, but in areas where hunters have the green light, they can have litters of up to 12. Coyotes even have a specific roll call for this exact reason. A female coyote will call out as a way to see how many coyotes are in the area. It's like their version of a verbal census. Well, if the female doesn't hear a lot of coyotes in response, that'll trigger something in her body to produce more pups. In one case in Utah, a rancher turned a female coyote into a widow. What did she do? Well, she left the area, found a male, brought him back, and continued making more coyotes. When it comes to coyotes, understand that 1 minus 1 equals 1. The harder we try to birth them, the harder they work to birth them. And no matter how much everything in nature wants them dead, coyotes will still be out here like, you can't get rid of me.
Very, very adaptable. That's what it is. Species like this, they are just highly, highly adaptable.
We hate the things we can't control. That's why coyotes get no love. And that's where coyotes get their get back on wolves. Because where wolves will often outcompete them in the same area, coyotes are that much more adaptable. And as much as people like to say they hate them, we're actually the biggest reasons why coyotes were able to take their act across every state that isn't an island. When we wiped out wolves to the point where we had to physically bring them back, coyotes took the opportunity to turn the United States into its playground. And like the canine cockroaches they are, they were able to survive and thrive in urban environments. Mostly because, like I said, they will eat literally anything. You can have a garden with apples, pears, and peaches and still suffer coyote casualties.
I suppose all of the like waste, garbage bins that are being left out, they contain leftover scraps of food. It is essentially feeding them. So I think it's going to be one of those wherever you find like well-populated cities, towns, where there's people, you're probably gonna find coyotes. Maybe it's in a similar way that you'd find raccoons, because they're such scavengers and adaptable and will eat anything. So yeah.
You can leave cat food out for your pet, not realizing you're contributing to a coyote's calories.
Feeding a
And as are the rules in nature, when you can eat anything, you can live anywhere. Especially because of another fact. Wolves often rely on pack structure to survive. It's the reason why you'll almost never see a healthy adult wolf in the wild by itself. Coyotes can run through life solo or in pairs, making it that much easier for them to fly under the radar. Speaking of pairs, coyotes are monogamous. They very much mate for life. As in, a coyote will find another coyote and decide that's its life now. Mother and father coyote will even go grocery shopping together because that increases their hunting success rate. And here's where they might just win you over. So a lot of their meal prep involves stealing from much bigger, much more dangerous animals like bears or wolves. So oftentimes it's actually the male coyote that'll go and scope out a possible bounty while the female waits off in the distance. If worse comes to worse and the male coyote gets relieved from life, the female coyote still has a chance to get away. And even though his kids have less of a chance at surviving without their father, it's better than the 0% it would have been if both parents got packed up. But the best dog father out there would probably be the golden jackal. While they're not the same, let's be honest, coyotes and jackals are like the metric system and whatever Americans use. If you call yourself an American, you probably call it a coyote. If you live literally anywhere else, it's probably a jackal. Coyotes and jackals pretty much have the same roles in society. And just like coyotes, golden jackals mate for life, and the male will dig a den for his pregnant female, which he will defend with his life. Golden jackal couples also hunt together, and they're 3 times more successful when they do. The father jackal is so devoted that if something ever happened to him, chances are his kids wouldn't pull through with just a single mother working alone. Coyotes are just as ride or die. Not only are they loyal partners, but female coyotes that don't have kids of their own during pupping season will often help their sisters or mothers raise their children.
That's a common thing with canines, isn't it? Don't they actually like quite often suffer from like is it phantom pregnancies? Because I think it benefited the pack for this to happen, so that the other females that weren't pregnant, they'd produce milk and they were able to kind of be a little bit of a wet nurse, I guess, for what do you call it, the alpha female? I'm not too clued up. I apologize if that's very wrong.
Coyote aunties are very much a thing, and it means a world of a difference to the coyote pups. Speaking of kids, we gotta address the elephant in the room, and that elephant would be the coy wolf. It's exactly what it sounds like. You ever hear the expression F the ops? Yeah, wolves took that at its word. And like almost everything else, this one's on us too. Because while we were out here murking wolves like they owed us oil, the ones that did survive were low on options. And I guess if you squint hard enough at a coyote, it starts to look like a wolf.
Yeah.
I like how out of context that sounded deep and profound, but really we're just talking about coyotes and wolves coexisting. To the point where the northeastern coyote is actually a hybrid that's 60% western coyote, 30% eastern wolf, and about 10% domestic dog, which...
Oh, how is that possible for them to interbreed? They couldn't have been that distant. They couldn't have... I don't claim to understand advanced genetics, specifically about the animal kingdom. I was always under the impression if you had 2 separate species, what defines them as a species is that they cannot interbreed. The genetics just don't allow for it. So either they're very closely related genetically, that make them like 2 subspecies of... Oh, further confusing myself now. How does that happen? Okay, so they can interbreed, and they've created is it a coy wolf? Did they say? I heard of that before.
I can't fully explain. The problem is coy wolves are bigger than the typical western coyote, while also not being as people shy as the typical wolf. One thing about coyotes, damn it, they're gonna find a way. But the question is, do coyotes deserve the hate? Again, your answer may depend on if you've ever had a pet that got turned into coyote poop. But in their defense, because honestly, someone has to, coyotes don't usually see dogs as prey, usually just competition. And as afraid of them as some people are, coyotes have been responsible for human obituaries twice. Ever. Once in California, once in Canada. Squirrels and deer empty way more seats at family reunions, yet no one's out here declaring war on them. Also, there's a lot of myths surrounding coyotes. One of them is that they'll actively bait dogs into chasing them so they can lead the dog into a pack of coyotes waiting to tear it apart. It's not true. And a lot like...
Well, haven't we just established that coyotes don't live in packs? They live in pairs or with cubs, so they'd have a family, or on their own. So has that been debunked?
Like with wolves, coyotes are naturally afraid of people. It's when they start associating people with food that things can get bitey.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me how I feel about farmers flatlining coyotes to protect their livestock, I mean, what do you want them to do? I get it. Not to sound all PETA in the face about it, there's humane ways to do it. I literally watched a video of a guy setting his pit bull loose on a coyote and watching it slowly break its leg while the coyote cried in pain and the owner was just recording. And that's where I'm like,
oh no, I totally agree here. There are ways, there are means, there are methods. You don't have to pick the cruelest method, because the cruelest method normally isn't the easiest in the first place, is it? Letting your pit bull just go to town on a coyote. Well, don't coyotes carry rabies and maybe other parasites and things like that? So would you want your dog coming into contact? So I just don't really understand the mentality behind that. That's cruel for the sake of being cruel, isn't it?
damn, reincarnation really something, because Twain's still out here leaving his mark. I'm not asking you to like coyotes. I'm just saying anything with that much of a will to live and that little of a fire under a cautious kangaroo to give about anyone else
deserves respect.
I mean, at some point you gotta respect the game. Their entire existence is out of spite and a middle finger to everyone else. I mean, man survived 70 years of disrespect and a second Space Jam. That's gotta count for something. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, which you can probably tell I had a lot of fun with. For more consistent content, be sure to follow my TikTok and Instagram. I try to post daily on both. And if you would like to support this channel, my Patreon's also gonna be in the description. Final plug, but most important, as you may or may not know, I actually came out with a book earlier this summer, along with an audiobook on the off chance you're not sick of hearing my voice yet. The book's called 100 Animals That Can Effing End You, and I think the title kind of speaks for itself. The link's also gonna be in the description. Other than that, drink water. For real, that stuff's important. Hug your mother. She's not gonna be here forever. Respect coyotes, I guess. Thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this video, and I'll hopefully see y'all in the next one.
Absolutely. They're like, Mom, 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 Mom. Oh, come on. I understand that they can be a pest, absolutely, dangerous to pets, and at times a general nuisance, but those little faces. Oh, the little pups. So cute. I love his words of wisdom at the end there. Hug your mum, absolutely. Drink water, stay hydrated. Thank you for that, Casual Geographic. Pearls of wisdom there. I do love his videos so much. They're so interesting, but they're not just interesting. They're absolutely hilarious. The way he feeds you the information, the clips that he's got. And the random bits of information that, do you have a brain like me, guys, where I'll retain the random bits of information that I will never need for my entire life? It's bits of information that are just so generally irrelevant to living. That's the stuff that gets stuck in my memory, in my brain. And, you know, relevant things like, you know, what time the cake went in the oven, or she was going to what school practice after, blah, 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 anything like that, that'll go. But those random bits will stay in there. Yeah, I do love these videos from Casual Geographic. So thank you very much, Arctic Tron, for requesting that. It's always a pleasure watching these. So guys, I hope that hasn't infuriated too many of you. And fuel the coyote hate. Oh, they need to catch a break though. It's even going on in the animal kingdom. Even alligators don't like them. Poor buggers. Oh. Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching along with me. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.